Glucose is a simple sugar that the body uses to as fuel to provide energy for the body. But there is a range, a very healthy range that it should be the optimal range that it should be at. If it is too high, it's not too good.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the podcast Learniverse, a program designed to educate people on different topics and issues and have diverse range of content for listeners. I'm your host Ruhan Ahmed, joining you from the studios of MTA International, Gambia. And today in the studio we are joined by an expert in the field of nutrition and she is Christina Mere. Christina, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Eating habits plays a vital role in our good health, and it can also result to a very dreadful state. So, and when we speak about, our main or favorite source of energy, it's the glucose. So, to begin with, can you tell us what is glucose and why is it so important to understand that?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Glucose is a simple sugar that the body uses to as fuel to provide energy for the body. But there is a range, a very healthy range that it should be the optimal range that it should be at. If it is too high, it's not too good. It can cause what we call hyperglycemia, and that can cause a whole lot of problems in the body, and it can lead to, of course, diabetes. And of course, diabetes come with a whole lot of comorbidities, like heart disease, And then when it is too low as well, it leads to what we call hypoglycemia. And that one too can lead to problems like dizziness, sweating, palpitation, or in other words, fast heart rate or heartbeats, and sometimes seizures. It can lead to coma, and in very, very serious cases, death. So, in as much as glucose is important, we need to manage it. It shouldn't be too low, neither should it be too high.
Thank you for that. And it is said that like glucose is so much important. Like if I'm making a movement of my hands, the fist I'm making, the muscles are actually using the energy from the glucose for me to make this action. So this brings me to the next question: that what happens when the glucose spikes? What are its effects on us?
Yes. Glucose spike can lead to the end result to be insulin resistance. So what happens is for glucose to spike, it means that when glucose spike, it means that the sugar is more than what it is supposed to be. The range is from WHO standard or recommendation, it should be 4 to 5.5, 5.6 millimoles per liter. All right. So if it is more than that, then it's a problem. So glucose spike is having more than the required amount of glucose in the blood. So if you are using the glucose monitor, like the CGM, all right, if you look at the monitor, when the glucose spike, you can see it forming kind of a mountain, on the graph, meaning that it is too much. If that continues, the spike continues, it can lead to a whole lot of problems, what we call neuropathy, that is damage in the nerves. It can lead to retinopathy, damage in the nerves of the eye, which can lead to even blindness. It can lead to nephropathy, problems with the kidney. The kidneys, there'll be a dysfunction in the kidney, and quite a lot of things. And of course, diabetes. It is diabetes first, and then those other ones. So glucose spike is really not good.
Okay, so and also the body itself makes its own glucose from the protein, the carbohydrates, and the fat that we eat.
Yeah.
So does that mean that we do not need extra sweet stuff into our daily diet?
Yes. So the main thing that the body makes glucose from are the starches and the sugars. Yes, of course, it can make glucose from proteins and fat, but the main ones are those ones. So, I mean, yes, you can decide not to take sugar. Sugar is not really necessary in our diets. You can decide not to take sugar. The body can still make glucose from all of these other sources we've spoken about.
At the same time, it is difficult to leave starchy or sugary food stuff. So, how can we organize our daily intake, which can help us to reduce or control the glucose spike?
It's very difficult to leave starches and sugars, especially sugars, which can lead to addiction. And of course, you've heard of sugar addiction. As someone said, a dietitian has said that sugar addiction can be more than the addiction of some drugs. So it can be very, very strong. For people who are really addicted to sugars and starches, what you can do at first is by cutting the quantity, because it's very difficult to leave sugar cravings. Yes. It's very difficult. Sugar cravings have strong addiction. They can be very, very addictive. So what you can do is, first of all, start by cutting them down. You cut down. If you're used to eating a whole big muffin, you start by cutting it by half. Eat half with a piece of protein or a piece of carrot or cucumbers and stuff like that. So that can be one thing. You eat them with protein, you eat them with fiber-rich foods. And so by doing that, you'll be able to cut down the amount of sugars and starches you take.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Yes. And then exercise is also another thing you can bring on board. Whenever you feel like taking a bottle of Coke, which is highly sugary, say a bottle of Coke has about 16 teaspoons of sugar. That's quite high. Yeah. You're supposed to be taking, like, for man, 9 teaspoons a day. So a bottle of Coke is like 16 teaspoons, which is very high. For women, is around 6. So when you feel like taking that, you take water and go for a walk. By the time you come back, the sugar craving would have come down, because insulin production also causes sugar craving. So yeah, that is something that can be done.
You have just highlighted about the intake men and women can have per day. So, I also came across that men should not have more than 36 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
And similarly for women, they should not have more than 25 grams.
Yeah.
So is that the limitation? Is that a limit to the amount of sugar we can have? Or is that prescribed for us to have daily?
Yes, that is like a upper limit. That does not mean you should take sugar. That if you are taking sugar, that should be the upper limit. Okay. This is a WHO standard, the 36 gram for men and then the 25 for women, So you can take that in a day, but not more than that. You can decide also not to take that, because, as we previously said, you get sugars from other sources. From your starches, you can get sugar. From your proteins, you can get glucose. From the fat as well. So it's not a compulsory that we take sugar. But if you want to take sugar, that is the upper limit.
And I have also read that some nutritionists, they have suggested the usage of vinegar to maintain glucose spike. So how effective that is, and how should we take this vinegar?
Yeah, the use of vinegar in controlling glucose spike is very effective. Research has shown that adding a tablespoon of vinegar in a glass of water, in a huge glass of water, at least a tablespoon, can bring down your blood sugar by 30%. That is huge. Can bring it down by 30%. And you can use any vinegar. Of course, the apple cider vinegar has a lot of health benefits with it. So if that is what you want to go by, it's fine. But you can use white wine vinegar, red vinegar, and any vinegar you have. Vinegar is not harmful. But for people who have sensitive teeth, they can use straws, when taking. But yeah, vinegar works. You can also add the vinegar in salads. You can add vinegar in your salad dressings, your vinaigrette dressing, your mustard dressing. It's almost the same.
So it ends up to be very helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Okay. And then another thing which I want to ask is, people are very cautious about the intake of calories. Regardless of whatever they are eating, they are so much into the intake of calories. So, how is that necessary?
Yeah, the intake of calories is very, very necessary, but there's a standard for men and women, the limit. But that is also dependent upon your exercise and the way your body is structured and all, so the intake of calories. But what we should pay attention on is our lifestyle, actually, the general lifestyle. Intake of calorie is important, but our lifestyle is what we should really pay attention on. For men, we know it is 2,500. That's the basic. It can be a bit slower. It can be a bit under the 2,500. For women, 2,000. But it's the same thing depending on your activity. Whether you want to lose weight and all, it can be a bit under. So yes, paying attention on calorie can help to control weight. It can help to manage blood sugar, but also general lifestyle is the best.
Okay. Yeah,
Lifestyle
thank
changes.
you. Yes. So, what about not considering what we are eating, but then just focusing on the calories? Is there something that we should look into?
No, they should all go hand in hand. They should all go hand in hand. If you want to live a healthy lifestyle, they should all go hand in hand, because what you eat matters as well. It matters. Say, for example, you're taking, if we take the My Plate, which is another recommendation from WHO, and you look at what is in the plate, it can give you the amount of calorie you want to take, in a day, or, but what we forget is that a particular food, two different food, for example, white rice may give you the same amount of calorie like brown rice. But brown rice is dense with a lot of other nutrients. It has fibers, it has the B vitamins, it has a whole lot of other nutrients, which the white rice may not have. So apart from the calories, you need to pay attention on what other nutrients each food is bringing on board, so that is also very important.
That's a very interesting point you mentioned of, when we look at how they number the calories of a specific food, it is very interesting that it said they place a food into a box, and that box is placed in an aquarium, and then that food is burned. So as a result of that, the increase in the degree of water in the aquarium determines the number of calories that food is having. And like you said, some two foods can have same amount of calories but will have different benefits. Like a chicken sandwich can have a certain amount of calories. At the same time, avocado can have same to that chicken sandwich, but the benefit differs. So it is very important to be very careful of what we select than just counting on calories. So thank you for sharing that important information. So coming to the very last question of our discussion today is about your advice for the youth outside, for everyone in general. What advice would you give to us?
To be healthy, lifestyle changes are very important. You may be someone who has not started taking note of all of those things. You may not have started anywhere. Say maybe you're not exercising, you're not conscious about choosing what you put on your plate to eat. You can't start small. You're exercising. With exercising, you can start by taking 10 minutes walk. Just increase the pace. Just increase the pace. And then the next day, increase it by 15 minutes. The next day, 20 minutes, And then with the eating, just be conscious of what you put in the plate. Those little changes, you'll be shocked at, how much they can improve your life. So just start, and you will see tremendous changes.
In the Gambia particularly, we are so much into the eating of rice. And every day, like even starting from the morning, we eat bread, which is very starchy. Then coming to the lunches, we mostly eat rice. Then same in the night. So how do you think that is affecting our life?
Yes, you're not adding variety, eating the same thing. When it comes to nutrition or being healthy or choosing healthy, variety is very important because if you're eating just rice, the nutrients in the rice are not enough to keep you healthy. You need to bring, even with the carbohydrate food, just taking the same carbohydrate food, you need to bring in variety. If you eat rice for lunch, you can decide to eat whole grain bread in the morning. What is in the whole grain bread, the rice may not be able to provide that, and in the evening you can decide to eat your vegetables and your fish. That is bringing a whole lot of fiber into the meal. So variety is very key if you want to be healthy. Don't just stick to the same thing. Bring in different, types of food, different types of carbohydrates, different types of protein. They all have things they bring on board.
Thank you very much for joining us today. And dear viewers, that's all for today. Until we come your way, till then, take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Mental health is a component of our health, and I like to say that it's everyone's business because it's part of our life. Sometimes mental health can be high, sometimes mental health can be poor. So looking at the lifestyle, looking at the coping strategies, there are always better ways to deal with thoughts, with feelings, and with different life situations.